I lived in apartment complexes for many years, and let me tell you, it sucks. So I like to nominate things in apartment complexes. This particular one didn't have any when I first saw it. This is actually outside of the apartment complex. This was new, the volleyball court, and this was also new, the fountain. I walked east from my starting location. I happened to find there was a second volleyball court. It also had a grilling area by it, but there were kids playing in that sand the entire time I was in the complex. I went and looked at pogomap.info, saw based on the cell placement they could actually both get into the game, but I did not nominate them then. The next thing that I'm on right now is a playground that was next to like a clubhouse or a community center. Couldn't quite tell what it was. I was very concerned about this one because you wouldn't be able to see it in street view, but luckily it had a cover over top of it, so I wanted to make sure any picture I took had that cover in there because that's what the reviewers would be able to see. They would never be able to see the playground. This was behind a fence, just like in my previous video where I talked about fences. You don't want the reviewers to see the fence in the picture. Do your best to alleviate that. Put the camera in between the bars so that you get a clearer picture. Obviously, the bars here made this kind of difficult to get an overview shot. You want to show that it has good pedestrian access. It was really hard to do that. Unfortunately, I should share here, I'm going to show you the rest of the nomination, but by the next day, Niantic had instant rejected this playground. I suspect that whatever reviews it instantaneously thought it was behind a house, and I have appealed it, and I'm waiting for the decision on that one. So I will stop the video right here and just tell you that whatever I submitted didn't work. I consulted pogomap.info for this next one. There were two things in here and I wanted to see where the cells were. I discovered they were both in different cells. The first thing was actually a playground. Unfortunately, there were kids and parents at it, so I couldn't submit it. So I made sure that the Ramada that was by the pool was in a completely different cell in case somebody wanted to go back another day and nominate that playground. Unfortunately, since it's by a pool, it's behind a fence. So again, just like I stated in my previous video, you want to make sure that the bars are not in the picture. Here I took the picture, I didn't like it, it wasn't in the center, so I took it again. You want to make sure that it's centered and it takes up most of the view. That's what reviewers and Niantic like to see. Again, I wait for a couple seconds just to make sure that the app doesn't crash. It's happened to me a couple times. Then for the overview shot, again, you're going to want to take it through the fence. You don't want the fence showing. You're going to want to show sidewalks to show it is pedestrian friendly and anybody can get to it. The title doesn't really have to be that special. I just said Community Ramada. You don't have to overdo it. The description you always want to say for Ramadas that it's a place to be social. You can say with family and friends or community members, just something like that. I'm going to pick, you can pick picnic area, gazebo, and those. So I just picked gazebo on this one. And then here, this is where you want to sell it to the reviewers that you can socialize with friends and family and community members, and therefore it qualifies. The next one, I had to consult pogomap.info again. I'm back at the entrance, and remember that fountain was there, but what I was looking at was in a different cell. So I went ahead and nominated it. I have to tell you, this is iffy. I decided to try it. I've seen them get through, and I'll tell you why it's iffy. Niantic used to say that these kinds of picnic-type areas were supposed to be shaded, but they don't really say that anymore. So this picnic area was bolted to the ground. You could see the bolts, so that says it's permanent, and that's one of the things that reviewers are looking for. So I took the picture there, I made sure it was in the center. And then for the overview shot, I showed that there were sidewalks around it, so it had pedestrian access. When it comes to the title, my belief is that it should just be short and to the point. You really don't have to add a lot of fluff to the titles. The fluff will actually come when you're writing the supporting information to the people that are reviewing it. But here, you want to make sure that you just describe what people do at this picnic area. And I did describe it as a picnic area. There's no gazebo here, so I couldn't add that. And we have to take into consideration that some people may want to deny this because it doesn't have a Ramada over it. So keep that in mind when you're nominating it. This could get rejected even though it is a great place to socialize. Make sure you plug socialization. The next one I was doing was another Ramada. This one was in a much more closed area. I was more concerned that I was going to see people on their balconies, so kind of scout the location in advance. Make sure there's not going to be anybody in the picture. Again, you want to center it. Make sure that it takes up most of the frame. In a case like this, also surrounded by trees, you should make sure that you can see it in imagery. Maybe you want to check your map first. But also think about time of day and shadows, because if the picture is too dark, the reviewers may not like it. They may say it's a poor quality photo. So taking it during the middle of the day is likely the best time to do something that is surrounded by trees. When you're taking the overview shot here, in this case, in such a tight area, it doesn't matter if anybody is in the picture. The reviewers don't care. Unless they're posing, they may care. Just make sure that it has good pedestrian access showing in the picture. If you are nominating multiple gazebos within the same apartment complex, just make sure you name them distinctly so they don't all have the same name. Also, when you're writing the description, if you're nominating multiple of these in the same thing, remember that different people are going to be reviewing your nominations at different times, so don't be afraid to actually say the same thing in each one. Just don't name them the same thing, because that just won't work, especially when it comes to raids and Pokemon Go, if something becomes a gym and has the same name as a Pokestop. In the description, as always, I'm saying that it's a great place to socialize, and I'll mention family, friends, community members, whatever, depending on where the particular Ramada is. You may have noticed in my recording the video, I actually did this during Community Day. I had a foot injury and I couldn't walk a lot. I thought this was a really great time to make this video. I actually got a lot of shinies just walking around the apartment complex. I got a couple really great shinies that I decided to evolve. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, please like and subscribe. And on my way out, I happened to see this Pokestop. That was the best Pokestop I'd seen in a really long time. Thank you for watching.